Hi there, I am Tiana from Mind Body Movement Center. I am here to give you a little rundown on why you might want to do the 21-day clean sweep. And given the state of affairs right now in terms of COVID-19, just thinking in terms of trying to create an overall health landscape for your entire body, whether it be from the foods that you're putting in, to the reduced toxins that you're putting on your skin, to mindfulness and stress reduction practices, that this might be a really good time to take part in something like this. So I'm going to describe the detox program and why you would even want to, so-called detox, because we know our bodies are constantly detoxing. We have a liver and kidneys and all these other lovely organs that are doing that all the time, but sometimes they can get overloaded by the things that we're doing to ourselves or putting in ourselves. So I'm going to go over that and then describe the rest of the program. So here we go. I'm going to just share the screen here. So why do we want to detox? There's tons of chemicals that are, in our foods that we eat, the waters that we're drinking. It's just more overloaded now. And given my work with Beauty Counter and knowing that the last time the government put any restrictions on chemicals in our products that we're using was in 1938. So think about the time frame in terms of, World War II. And I mean, we've just come such a long way that it's time to start paying attention to what we're putting in, because sometimes our government is not always on board. All right. So knowing that, from testing, we found that our bodies are full of toxins, and sometimes it doesn't show up, it doesn't present itself. But if you have a connection or a myriad of things going on, and you have the genetic components to have these things manifest, then it becomes an issue. So many of us might not have any symptoms or sensations, but sometimes it can be really mild, like energy and mood, digestion, things that you just kind of put off and think, oh, it's just, that's just something I'm going to deal with. When really it might be something that you can address and change. So as I've already mentioned, just from the food that we eat, this is something we're going to definitely address in the 21-day clean sweep. Hydrating is definitely one of those, but also you want to make sure that your water is properly filtered and clean, as much as possible, through the air that we breathe. Yes, we use breath practices in this and try to filter out through the breath, through breathing practices. But you also want to make sure that the air that you're breathing is clean. And then the products that we use, and we'll get into that as we go. All right, so different food sources of toxins, so environmental toxins. Think about things that we can maybe try to mitigate as much as we can. And we'll talk about this about, adding organic food sources in, going to your farmers markets and getting organics. We can reduce, foods with artificial coloring and flavoring. I think about all the M&Ms that I used to eat and all the different colors that are in there. Anyhow, that's just one little tidbit, but like think of all the frostings and things that we put on our, kids' foods and things like that. And of course, eating meats that are without hormones. BPA from your can lining is an easy way to kind of carve things out too. So, looking at the cans and just making sure it says, BPA free. A lot of the brands and even some of the kind of like Target brands are starting to do that as well. Again, eating clean meat and reducing carcinogens from those cooked meats. All right, so when we're looking at our water, we're trying to, there's some ways that we can affect what we're putting into our, into our bodies through hydration, but sometimes we can't, and we're just trying to do the best that we can. So I suggest getting a good filter in your water, or using some kind of device, like one of the Brita filters. Again, that doesn't filter out everything, but at least it gives us something that we can work towards. All right, indoor and outdoor pollutants. I'm thinking like in terms of stuff that we can affect, can't always try to avoid being around people who smoke, but we do the best that we can. Definitely things in like household products. We're going to talk about this. So think about those things that have scents to them, like they smell really pretty. All of those, diffusers that are pumping out, maybe not the best stuff. If it's like an essential oil, that's okay. But like scented candles and colors that are in your soaps and detergents and stuff is probably not the best and safest thing, even though they smell and they look pretty. And then some of these other things that, we try our best. Some of it we can't avoid, right? We can't always buy the most expensive carpet and furniture and things like that. So we just have to do the best that we can. And sometimes this is why we get overloaded in our detox systems because of all these things that are out there that we can't avoid. This is a big one. Makeup, deodorants, lotions, all of the stuff that we put on ourselves, sunscreens and hair care products, like all of it. The different colors and fragrances that are in there, that elusive term fragrance that you see at the bottom of all your products, those aren't regulated. They can put anything in there. They're kind of proprietary information. So the companies don't expose them, and they don't have to because the government doesn't require it. So that's why I became a proponent and a educator and leader with Beauty Counter, and that's going to be part of your program, the 21 Clean Sweep. And then just trying to clear out as many of your household products as you can. So using, BPA-free water bottles, going to maybe glass storage containers, and just anything that's plastic and you see that it's now the color of your food, particularly like red, tomato sauces and things like that, curries, where your Tupperware is the color of the food. You now know that the plastic is also leached into your food as well. So, just trying to choose better things there, but sometimes we can't avoid all that. So again, these are other reasons why your body's being a little bit more loaded down in terms of its detox processes than you might think. All right, so how does our body actually deal with it? It tries to remove them, most of it. We'll talk about the organs that do that. And not necessarily hiding them in your body fat, but they are stored in your body fat when they're in excess, and then in other tissues as well. So it's common signs and things that I've been talking about, on the landing page of the 21-day clean sweep. These are some just subtle signs and symptoms that your body might be overloaded. Thinking about just fatigue beyond fatigue, and you don't know, you just can't come out of it. You feel like you're sleeping, but it's just not happening. Constipation, gas, and bloating, big ones. Any kind of disruptive digestion. We talk about in Ayurveda or Indian medicine, digestion is key. If digestion is off, we know the whole system is off. And it's not just about what you're putting in your body, what you're putting on your body, how you're moving your body, how you're breathing, and your stress responses too. Very connected. All of this is really. So we talk about kind of looking at the next one, bloated bellies and inability to lose weight. So you're like, God, where did this belly come from? And so part of it could be this, is that your body is just overloaded. And thinking about headaches, that's a big one with my clients. Mood swings, so either feeling really irritable or sad, and for no reason, or maybe there's a little bit of a reason, but your system's reaction to it is just it's excessive for what you might expect. Problems with memory, about joint stiffness and pain for my patients, for sure. Pain comes up a lot. Sensitivities to odors. If you think you're really sensitive to odors and lights, there's probably something going on with your with an overload of your detox systems. And then again, chronic infections. This used to be a huge one for me, and actually skin rashes too, before I made a clean sweep of my own and switched to a different kind of eating and stress reduction practices, I should say. Lots of sinus infections, like every year, and it would last for 3 months. And then I started getting skin rashes that just wouldn't go away. And literally by doing a detox cleanse, like the first week, rash was gone. Rash was gone. And I haven't really gotten a sinus infection in several years now, several years. When I was getting them every year, it was just like clockwork, January to March. All right, so some long-term effects of having, too many toxins in the body that aren't clearing out. Thinking about, my patients that are trying to get pregnant, so fertility issues is definitely a big one. So doing a detox maybe before you're trying to get pregnant. Maybe just more for your children. This one comes up a lot, I think, about sleep in particular, because sleep is often disrupted in so many of us, and sleep is a huge issue when it comes to memory loss and cognitive decline, because your growth hormone is actually replenished at night, and that is crucial to your cognition and your memory. So if you've kind of hit some weight loss resistance, you're wondering like, oh, I'm doing all these things and it's just not going off. This can be part of it. Is again, the toxins like to hold up into the fat tissues of the body. So it can become harder to lose that if your detox systems are off. I think a lot about this in terms of especially hormone imbalance with the people that I work with, in terms of younger women with periods that are either painful or excessive mood issues, PMS issues, breast tenderness, things like that. And then people, women going, particularly myself, going into perimenopause much too early, and was definitely able to halt that process and shift back to completely balanced. So, and a lot of doctors are not, they're going to give you hormone treatment to try to treat it instead of looking at the sources. And oftentimes it comes back to the digestion, food sensitivities. I'm thinking of a particular client who had food sensitivities to gluten, taking a lot of Advil, that turned to taking a lot of antacids, disrupting the digestive system, where the stomach no longer had enough acid to take in iron, and iron's needed to make thyroid, thyroid's needed to make progesterone, and so the period was off, had a lot of pain, gut issues. And so once we learned the food sensitivity was gluten, cut that out, and so all the other processes started to fall into place and ease out. So sometimes it can start way back, and if you just gave this person progesterone or iron supplements, you're going to end up with maybe a little bit of improvement, but it would just keep resurfacing. So we got to get back to the sources. Okay. We talked about this. So the body is kind of it is storing your excess in your fat cells. That's where they remain. So think of like estrogen dominant situations where there's too much estrogen and a more harmful kind of estrogen. And once you have too much of it and your body's not detoxing it, it gets stored in the fat cells. And so you have some of these other symptoms starting to come up, and weight loss resistance can be one of them. So doing this kind of process can be really a nice jump start to help reduce some of that weight loss, the fat loss, and also just the bloating and gas that comes along with some of our digestive issues and makes it seem like you have a bigger belly. But once that dissipates, then you come back to kind of a normal state. All right, so we've talked about some of the organs of detox, and the liver, of course, is a big one. We've kind of talked about the skin, so anything you put on your skin, if you're putting products that have, fragrances and chemicals that haven't really been tested, and the makeup and beauty product industry is just rampant with this. Companies can get away with putting anything in there because there's no regulations. There are no regulations. There's only, a couple handfuls of chemicals that are actually eliminated from most, that are regulated, sorry. And then, so you just want to be really careful about what you're putting on your body. And that's why, again, I've become an educator and a leader with the beauty counter line. And again, we'll introduce this in the 21 Clean Sweep. We talked about the lungs in terms of yoga and yogic pranayama, breathing practices. This is a way we can help kind of detox the body too by practicing breath practices. The colon, again, a huge part of our detox system. And again, in Ayurveda, when the digestion is off, we know the system is off. And so that is a big portion of trying to regulate and get your colon back on track. And you talk about ama or, undigested material. And so we want to allow that to release, because otherwise that gets loaded up in your system and can cause some of these other issues that we've talked about. And I'm thinking about all of these things that get moved and adjusted by actually movement. So you think about yoga practices or even just exercise. All of these organs get moved by movement. So, all right. So the liver is one of our primary detoxifiers, filtering blood, metabolizing anything that you're putting in your body, the chemicals that are brought in through our food, drugs or medications that we might be taking, even the supplements that we're ingesting. It's creating or converting sugar so that you can actually use it. It's storing sugar so that when you need it, it can be metabolized and utilized as energy. It's helping to eliminate and digest fats and cholesterol, and regulating some of our hormones. So we'll talk about this detox process that's happening in the liver. And your body needs to be able to process these from into a water-soluble content so that it can actually be released through your kidneys and your digestive system. So there's this phase 1 and phase 2 that's happening, and you'll see this in the next image. So we take in all of these things. In this case, we're just talking toxins, but everything's getting processed through the liver. But particularly all of this icky stuff I kind of try to think about is the gunk that we're trying to pass through and get it out of our body. So it goes through phase 1 in the liver, also through phase 2 in the liver, which is now turned into water-soluble products so that we can eliminate them through all of these other avenues, so through your digestive system. So when it becomes a little bit sluggish and more difficult for your body to rid these is when the phase 1 detox is faster or greater. There's more load here than there is the ability for the body to go through the phase 2. So if you have so much backup here from all of these the stuff that we just talked about in our environment, in our water, in our food, and the products that we put on our skin and that are in our house, that if that just becomes so overloaded that we just can't get it going through this process phase 2 fast enough so that it gets out, then it gets stored. It gets stored in our fat cells. And there can also be some reduced enzymatic activity that's happening in that process too, where the enzymes that help get it from phase 1 to phase 2 and out the body are actually sluggish and slow as well. All right, so what can we do? That's all the ick stuff. But the cool thing is that we have some control over it. We can't control everything, but we can try to control some of it. And this is how we start the process. So this is now called the Veggie Cleanse Plus, no longer the Paleo Cleanse, but same idea, they just changed the name. So what I like about it is it's really simple, it's convenient, it's the easy made for you plan that you don't have to think too much about. I don't know about you, but I'm not a huge foodie. So if I have something that I can have for breakfast and lunch and don't have to really think about it, so easy for me. And then, you just have a normal dinner or, a healthier dinner. So again, this is a Veggie Cleanse Plus Detox program. And The one we're doing is the 14-day, and we're doing the 21-day clean sweep, but the nutritional portion of it in terms of the detox program is going to be 14 days, and then that last portion will just be the reintroduction. So again, super simple, easy. You've got a whole guidebook that is outlined for you. You're going to have access to the Well World app, which is exactly designed for this Veggie Cleanse Plus. It gives you recipes that are in accordance with that, shopping lists that go along with that. It reminds you when to drink water, when to take your supplements, and then you can also track your nutrition, sorry, not your nutrition, but your food. You can also track your nutrition and your food for your dinner or your biggest meal. But you can also track your meditation, your movement, your digestion, your moods. You can say, there's things that you can click in there that say, today I was sad, or I had low energy, or I was happy, joyful. So those sorts of things. And I'll explain why why I feel that's a huge part of this clean sweep as we go on. So within the detox program, you've got your single serve functional food powder mixes, and they're already in there. You just pop them in your blender or your blender bottle, mix it up with some water or some coconut milk or almond milk, some non-dairy. I usually just use water these days. It's a way for me to get a little extra water without anything else in it. And then you've got your amino detox capsules and your hydrolyzine capsule. I'll describe what all of those are. So the functional food packets have an excellent source of non-GMO certified organic protein in there. The nutrients in there also help to support your phase 1 and phase 2 detox. I think they also added a veggie and fruit blend in there for some antioxidants and metabolic support. And just to point out that a lot of programs or companies will use protein powder in them, but they're not always organic protein. So this does have organic protein in it. The 3 amino detox helps to support the detox process. And I'll describe that here because it goes into the exact whatever's in there. So you have the amino detox that supports phase 2 liver detox, ensures that everything's safely eliminated from your body. And then your digestive enzymes are just to help you process the protein in there. So because the shakes they go through your system a little bit faster, the digestive enzyme is to help process that protein so that it doesn't go undigested. All right, so the guidelines are you have 2 of these Veggie Cleanse shakes a day and 1 detox appropriate meal. So there's examples in the guidebook and recipes and ideas for snacks and things. So this is not a calorie restrictive program. You are allowed to eat when you're hungry. You're allowed to eat anything from the suggested list, and then just eliminating the things that are on the no list. So for me, having a shake in the morning and at lunch was the best idea because my husband wasn't doing it with me. And so having that last portion or the last meal of the day with my husband was the easiest way to do it. And since I often will make the dinners, it was an easy way to just take care of that. Now, I believe in the guidebook, it recommends having a shake in the morning and a shake for lunch, for dinner time, and then the middle meal would be your biggest meal. And the reason behind that is that you just want more time to digest that last meal rather than that being your heaviest meal of the day. But just pragmatically, try to figure it out for you the best, because I don't want to make this challenging or uncomfortable, or you're thinking, oh, well, my family's going to want me to make dinner and I'm not going to be able to make dinner if I'm just having my shake. And you can kind of switch those meals and it'll still work out okay. just want to make sure that is not an issue. All right, so there are some diet guidelines in here, and the idea is to eliminate, this is the elimination diet part of it, is to remove gluten, dairy, sugar, alcohol, and caffeine, at least just for 2 weeks, folks. Just 2 weeks out of your life, we just carve out a little space to allow your system to digest a little easier. It's to help reduce yeast in the gut, allergens entering the body, because gluten, dairy can often, and corn actually can, are often areas for food sensitivities for folks. And I'm particularly when I'm thinking about pain, headaches, pelvic pain, and a lot of digestive issues. So, and it's not that you have to cut these out forever. It's just you go through this trial period, see what's affecting you. And if you feel better, then you know that that is, whatever you cut out is part of the issue, okay? And here's the deal. You don't have to cut it out forever. Sometimes folks just do better if they just eliminate, like say it's a gluten sensitivity. They just do better if they just eliminate gluten forever. Some folks will find, and I found this, that even though I felt better without the gluten at first, I'm now able to eat it and I do okay, I'm fine. But it was a process of healing the gut first, getting everything back on track so that your body can actually process it. It's not so overloaded by so many toxins coming in, because I also changed, my skincare, my hair care, Tupperware, products around the house. Everything's just sort of no colors, no scents. And so, you decrease the toxic stuff coming in so your body can actually process what is there, and then you might be able to have some of these things, eating gluten, eating some dairy. So it's going to depend on you, and that's why at the end of the program, if you signed on early, you'll get a free 60-minute session with me so that we can go over some of these things and make sure that you're right on track for you. Okay. So this is the part where we slowly introduce some of these to see how it affects your body. So say you've cut out gluten for 2 weeks, you're feeling great. You really want some bread. Your husband just made fresh bread like mine does. You put some fresh butter and honey on it, and you just want to see how it makes your body feel. So you try some bread and, oh gosh, your tummy is just like rolling. Okay, well, we know gluten might need to stay out for a little bit longer. And so that maybe of course, that's not a good example because we added sugar, dairy, and gluten in there. So you just want to stick to one piece of bread to try it. And if you know that, your system reacts to it immediately, we know we just got to keep that gluten out of the picture for the moment until we reset the gut. And then you can try it later on, maybe in another 3 weeks or so. So that would kind of be how the reintroduction process goes. So we have to determine the sensitivity so that you don't go back to feeling the way that you were before. Okay. So this is kind of touching on what we just talked about, that gluten may be sensitivity for people with digestive issues, joint pain, thyroid, or hormone issues. Soy and corn are also common allergens. I would recommend carving out those if you're really dealing with some serious symptoms. And then dairy can also be a sensitivity. And I find that a lot of people are sensitive to it, even though you might not be lactose intolerant. You might still have a sensitivity. And I know for me, certain types of dairy are more sensitive than others, like softer kind of yogurty ice cream stuff, more sensitive to that than like a harder cheese. So we have to play around with that a little bit. Okay, so what should I eat? All this stuff to not eat, but we're going to have lots of good things to eat. So organic grass-fed meat and poultry you can have, unless you're vegetarian. Organic foods whenever possible. We'll look into that in a moment. Lots of high fiber fruits and vegetables, grains, meat, nuts, seeds. So all of that is on the go list, okay? This is not a calorie restrictive diet. So things that you are going to avoid, anything with pesticides and heavy metals that we can, you know, going into like seafood and stuff like that. And this kind of falling under finding organic foods. So foods that have any artificial flavors, colors, preservatives, processed foods, sugar in all forms, artificial sweeteners, alcohol, caffeine, soy protein, any kind of fried foods, oils, margarine, hydrogenated oils. You can have like coconut oil and olive oil, peanuts and peanut butter, just because they are an allergen for many people. If you know already that you're fine with that, you can certainly have that. Okay, we're going to follow the environmental working groups, Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. So I will have these for you to cut out when we're in the program, and you can keep them in your purse or your wallet. So you're going to buy organic, stay away from the Dirty Dozen. So you definitely want to buy organic for the Dirty Dozen, because these are things that will, you know, maybe they're grown in the ground, they just have easier contact and skin that you might eat. So you want to definitely have the organics of those. So these are the ones, the Clean 15 are the lowest in pesticides. So it's okay to eat more conventionally grown from this group. All right, so other things, lifestyle tips during this, getting plenty of rest. So sleep, actually, if you've signed on to the early bird adopters, you're gonna get my sleep program, which has Ayurvedic tips, yoga tips, nutrition to help your sleep process. But I have a feeling through this program, you might notice that sleep comes a little bit easier. We'll have to see. Drinking lots of water, keeping hydrated. So it's roughly about half your body weight in ounces. So there you have the example of weighing 180 pounds, and so you're going to drink about 90 ounces of water. If you're not drinking that much right now, please go slowly. Don't just all of a sudden start gulping 90 ounces of water a day. So you're going to start to build up on that. And then also just know that, like, you know, teas, unless they're herbal, don't really count towards water. If it has caffeine in it, it's still a diuretic. So again, water, just think of water as water, not like water is tea or tea is water. All right, so you're sweating, you're gonna get some exercise, hopefully. It's ideal, especially as we're aging metabolically, to create a little bit of sweat with your exercise. So 20 to 30 minutes a day of a little bit of movement that causes you to perspire. You could add a dry skin brush to help with circulation. Personally, I've never done that, but you can certainly do that if that's something that you would enjoy. So reducing stress, we're going to have in the program some meditations and yoga breathing practices that I take you through. So, and then the meditation app, the Waking app, is going to have some meditation practices and mindfulness practices to help you reduce stress, especially during this time. Things are so tumultuous with COVID-19 and politics that we really need to kind of have our stress under some kind of balance here, because it's when we're stressed, when your body is stressed, it's easier to contract, you know, viruses and to be ill and to get sick. So really important to keep that in mind as we're going through this. And then choosing better products. So getting, you can get tips from ewg.org. They also have a really great app that you can download to your phone that is, you just literally, it's just such a simple app. You can either type in your product. So say you were using like Bath and Body something, you could just type that in, or you could turn the bottle over and just scan it with your phone and scan the barcode, and it'll give you an idea of how toxic that product is. I think they also have food in there too, where you could put foods in there as well, or any kind of products. But I like to use it for beauty products. Of course, now I'm all beauty counter and I don't have to guess anymore that it's clean. But that is something also that we'll talk about, and you'll get some discounts and maybe free products from Beauty Counter to better help you serve that organ of your body, the skin. Okay, so sometimes people have some side effects of this process because they're not used to eating a certain way. You've maybe been having caffeine a lot and now you're asked to kind of limit that. So again, early adopters, you're going to get my 5-step prep handout to start off and just get started on this. And it's about, slowly starting to wean your caffeine levels and drink more water and things like that so that the symptoms won't be as harsh when you go into the program. So some likely or possible, I should say, detox benefits. I've talked about these before: more energy, just feeling more just alive, vibrant, less bloating around the middle, so less gas. Your digestion overall is possibly going to improve. And again, it might take more than the 14 days. Okay, so if it's not happening in 14 days, we may just have to keep continuing that as long as you're feeling better. So digestion, when we talk about good digestion, I think about having a bowel movement every day, at least once a day or once every other day. And usually working towards the consistency of a soft banana. So, start looking at your poop if you haven't already. And if it's kind of like hard little pellets, you have to push to get it out. You're more constipated. We know that it's dry. Maybe it's not getting through the system as much. So maybe drinking more water, moving a little bit more, exercise. And then if it's on the runnier side, things are going through too fast. And maybe we need to bulk up your stool with a little bit more fiber on the front end. Or maybe you're stressed and that's why. And so we need to work on the stress reduction pathways. Anyhow, that can also be, we can also talk about that in our private one-on-one if you're an early adopter of the 21-day clean sweep. So also thinking about like the quality of your skin and your hair might improve, reduction of kind of pain and aches and kind of allergy symptoms. That's a big one I talk to people a lot about when they have constant allergies, that some of these sensitivities of the system or the detox process might be part of that. And again, it's just things that we put up with and we go, oh, it's just what it's just what I do. I just take my allergy medicine and I get through it. But I'm telling you that there might be some way around that and a different way to look at your health. Thinking about improved sleep, clarity just of the mind, better mood, like maybe less irritable, maybe less sad. That was a huge thing for me. I was starting to get really just sad. And I will say that really, really improved. And this is a big one. I love just looking at better habits going forward. And when you're using the app and you can kind of put the dots together, like, oh, this day, I didn't meditate or I didn't pray and I just had such an off day, or I didn't go through my movement practice and gosh, I just felt sluggish and icky. And I was, less able to take care of my, kids in a very calm and kind way. I hear that a lot in terms of the yoga practices that we use, that they not just help themselves, but they also help the way that they're working and dealing with their family. So a lot of these practices will just kind of bleed into your life and not just about diet. It's not that. It's like the whole thing. It's the whole picture. It's the way that you're showing up in the world, the way that you're taking stuff in, and the way that you react to it, because you're in a better state of mind. You've got clarity. You just feel energetic. It's hard to do those things and to be that good person when you feel crappy, when you feel tired. So I hope that you'll take this next step. It's just 21 days. Yeah, good. Feel lighter, have better memory. All right, so I really do, gosh, I hope this is the first step that you're watching this and going, yes, I want to do this now, because there's no other choice. And now is such a good time to get your health on track so that you're healthy, you stay healthy, and that even if you were to get the virus, that you wouldn't be one of the ones that ended up going to the hospital. It would just feel like a little bit of sickness and then it would pass. Or Maybe you're so healthy you don't get it at all. Maybe it enters your body, but you just, it never presents itself. So anyhow, that's just in terms of now, but I'm looking at the full picture and forward so that you feel like you are living the best life that you can live, that you're there for your kids, you're there for your family, you're there for your boss, or maybe you're the boss and you're there for your employees, because it matters. It matters when you show up so that you can make a difference in this world. So if you do have any questions, please, please send an email to me, info@mindbodymovement.org. The 21-day clean sweep starts April 5th, so that means we have to have your orders in a week before to get you started. So you've got to sign up a week before so I can get your orders in and sent to you so that you have everything to go when we start. So I hope that you'll join. Again, comment, leave a question. I hope to see you soon. Take good care.